one of the most important things any one of your viewers, listeners could possibly do is do an inventory. And in the 5M Club, there's that model, joy is a GPS. So here's what you do. You do, in your journal, you have a column. Who are the people that increase my joy? Trust joy is a GPS. Just follow that GPS. Who are the people you say, here's my I want to be a yoga teacher. And they say, yes, you can do it. They increase your joy. Who are the people you have a conversation with them and you walk away leaving feeling bigger than when they found you? Who are the people that when you're with them, you're just laughing or you feel really good about your life? Who are the people that when you're having a meal with them, they just make you happy? Write those people in the list. Keep those people.
Welcome to the Good Vibes Podcast, your show to live a happier life. My name is Marcel Clementi, and today I have the honor to talk to the best-selling author of several books like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari or The 5am Club. He's an expert in leadership and is helping and inspiring millions of people around the world. Please welcome Robin Sharma.
Marcel, it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much for being here, Robin. Before we start to talk about all your amazing books and about your personal routines and life, I just want to tell you real quick that so it's really like a special moment for me because I started this podcast 2 years ago. Just bought a microphone, started sharing my thoughts, my routines, my way of thinking, and it was just a hobby. And then I really fell in love with the process, with like the audience was growing, and I felt like one day in the middle of the night I woke up and I thought, I have to commit to this. And I want to upload every week, I want to invite guests. And then I sat home, writing in my journal a list of my dream guests. And to be completely honest, your name was like my number one wish for this show. I was sitting there manifesting, visualizing, like we two would meet maybe in Rome, going for a walk, sharing our morning routines, talking about the meaning of life, having some cacio e pepe and 4 chocolate croissants each. But yeah, now we're here in Vienna. The dreams came true with the chocolate croissants, maybe not the same quality as in Italy, but I truly, truly want to thank you for your book, for all the books, for all your wisdom. There's no other person in the whole world that has influenced and inspired and helped me grow in my adult life any other than you. So from the bottom of my heart, I truly mean it. Thank you so much.
Wow. I think that's the most generous introduction I've ever received, and thank you very much for those words. They mean a lot. I think we're done, right? Can we, right?
Yeah, let's eat the croissants.
Right? Let's just go get some. Let's just go get some cacio e pepe. That was really fun. Nice to be on your show.
Yeah,
no, it's really great to be here.
So let's start with the first question. If there is something like a typical day for you as an author, speaker, coach, how does it look like?
Marcel, there's no typical day. I just finished a new book called The Wealth Money Can't Buy. It'll be out in April, and it has really consumed a year of my life. I mean, I went all in. It was really a devotion bordering on an obsession. And so when I was writing that book, spaces are very important to me. So I would find, whether it's a hotel room or the farmhouse I live in my writing room, but I would get up early. I do MVP, I call it MVP, meditation, visualization, and prayer. That starts at about 4 a.m. About 4:45, I make my way to my exercise machines. I'll hydrate, I'll get on an elliptical or I'll run, and I will listen to a podcast or an audiobook. Right now I'm listening to the Arnold Schwarzenegger book, Be Useful, which I'm finding very useful. And so I will spend about an hour working out, and I find sweaty workouts first thing in the morning are absolute game changers. And then it's roughly 6 o'clock. I'll go get my first cup of espresso. and I have a quirky little routine, but I do 30 push-ups while my espresso maker is getting warmed up. Knock those off, light goes green, drink my espresso, do my gratitude, write in a journal, listen to the roosters sing, because it's still pretty early and I live on a farm. I'll go get my second espresso, do another 30 or 40 push-ups, go back and write a little bit, and then I'll start the writing process. When I'm traveling, I love being the first in the gym in a hotel. I don't know about you, but sometimes people can be really irritating in a gym, like and I like peace first thing in the morning, or they've got, their trainer on their phone, or they're listening to the news. So I like the solitude and stillness of being in the gym early in the morning. That's really important to me. And then I'll do my meetings or do my presentation.
So now you're in the 4 a.m. club.
I know, that's the sequel. I better write. I better get writing. I just find 4 a.m. is even better than 5 a.m. And it's just, I just need that hour now to lay in bed and pray, meditate. So MVP, meditation, visualization, and prayer. Meditation, visualization, and prayer. And so I lay there and I meditate, might be focusing on my breath. I visualize. I'm working on what I call my 4 beautiful projects right now. So I actually visualize each one of them to commit them and see them working out the way I want to execute around them. And then I find prayer very important because every prayer is heard. So I pray for my family, I pray for my readers, I pray for my strength, etc.
Love that. So many answers from my questions, so I can throw this away. Which is freestyle. Because one of the questions I wanted to ask you, like, you're 59, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
thanks for reminding me. Just while.
But one of the things I try in this podcast is always be honest and authentic.
Good.
And it's just a number. So what I wanted to say actually was that you look amazing. Like, you're fit, you're doing push-ups, you're following your routines. And in one of your books you write that the best way to be successful for a long period of time is to outlive your competition and to take excellent care of your health. What do you think is the secret for this vibrating energy, for this positive aura, for all the energy you need to finish your books on time and to have these presentations? Is it the naps?
Well, first of all, it's a brilliant question. I've over the past 25 years, I've mentored a lot of professional sports stars, a lot of billionaires, famous CEOs. And one thing these people all have in common is hyper energy. They have extraordinary levels of what I call execution energy. You can have the greatest dream, you can have a great team, you can have a great product, app, service, excellent strategy, great market opportunity. But if you don't have the energy to get out of bed, do your morning routine, prepare yourself for the day, be strong with your family and present with your family, great with your team, execute on what you promised you're going to do, nothing's going to happen. So for me, I love the concept of the conversation of energy because it's so important to me. And I'd say, first of all, the 2 massage protocol that I talk about in the 5 a.m. Club, it really works wonders. For anyone who hasn't read the 5 a.m. Club or doesn't know all the methods in it, the 2 massage protocol is 2 90-minute massages every single week. And the first things that people sometimes say is, well, that's expensive. Well, death will cost you more. And disease will cost you a lot. And not fulfilling your dreams will be very expensive. So the best of the best invest in their energy because they know the ROI will be magnificent. So the 2 massage protocol is incredible. The 20-20-20 formula I talk about in the 5 a.m. Club is a game changer. But the exercise, writing in the journal, etc. Naps, you're right. I'm napping a little bit less, but if I'm up at 4, I'll often go down at 4 o'clock for a 60-minute nap. So I get a second day. Churchill said, I take a nap, I get a second day. Anyone want to have 2 days in one? Pretty great. Epsom salt baths. I'm giving you all my personal strategies here, but when it gets cold, I like at about 11 o'clock to take an Epsom salt bath and just soak in it. I'll do a 15-minute nature walk with my dog in the middle of the morning. I fast. We were talking about that before the show, but I fast on most days. There's a lot of good science about caloric restriction. It releases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which gives you more mental focus as well. And then, of course, good rest. Like I'm good. I don't sleep that much, but when I sleep, I'm really good at it. And the final source of energy is my purpose. I mean, I want to change the world. I want to write more books. I want to live a long life. I want to experience great things. So I'm excited about life.
So everyone who hasn't read the 5 a.m. Club, I can highly, highly recommend it. And this is when I started doing morning routines. And the listeners who are following me for the last couple of years know that the routines changed, but always the idea of having a routine, having something that makes you feel home wherever you are is, I think, so important. And I just recently started to getting a massage every week. I read it, I told you before the interview, the first time in India when I was doing my second teacher training, the yoga training in Goa. And that's when I read the 5 a.m. Club. And same reaction with me, to be honest, like, yeah, how should I pay for 90? I mean, usually sometimes you get a 25-minute massage, but a 90-minute massage twice a week. And I realized that sometimes we spend money on so much nonsense. We try to impress others, we try to look wealthy, or we try to, money is not the definition of our personality. It's something to use, it's energy. And I realized that when I use the money from a job I love, and I think this is also such a game changer. If you earn money with something you love doing, it's easier to spend it and invest it in your health. Was one of the best decisions I have made. So I'm at the moment at one massage per week, and we have a massage gun and massaging my partner, and she's massaging me. So I think this could also be a possibility if someone says, hey, I can't afford the massage, or maybe start with a 20-minute massage, and then after that you will never want to be without a massage, right? It's a step-by-step process, isn't it?
What I'd say is excuses are liars and fears are thieves. And Marcel, if we repeat our excuses of why we can't get a massage, why we can't join the 5 a.m. club, why we can't live heroic lives, why we can't find true love, why we can't change the world, we're going to hypnotize ourselves into believing our excuses. And if you look at anyone who's built a beautiful life, a soulful life, a successful life, they are literally a walking, talking, excuse-free zone. And so can't is a dirty word in my vocabulary. Well, I can't do what Robin just said. I can't get the massage. You're right. The best of the best are all about finding solutions to difficult problems. So yes, if your budget doesn't allow 2 90-minute massages every single week, then go buy one of those massage guns, the Theragun. There's the Theragun, and then I use the other one. But buy those. If you can't afford those, then you're right. And get your partner to massage you. If you don't have a partner, well, I don't have a partner. If you don't have a partner, ask a friend. If you don't have any friends, go ask someone on the street. If there's no people on the street, do it yourself. Like do it. Go out and buy a €5 foam roller and do your massage for 90 minutes twice a week. So there's always a solution to every problem, even if you can't see it. And often it's right in front of you. And then you also talk about money and wealth, and that's really what the new book is all about, the wealth money can't buy. And I think a lot of us get trapped in FFA, fame, fortune, and applause. And I think real wealth is JPF, joy, peace, and freedom. And I've mentored a lot of billionaires, Marcel, who are cash rich and happiness or soul poor. And I think too many people in our society are busy climbing mountains only to realize at the end of a life they've spent their best hours climbing the wrong ones. And so I've written this book to remind people that money is important. It'll allow for freedom. It'll allow you to do great things for your family. You mentioned you like to spend it in a way that is good for your health. I'm sure good for your soul, good for the world. Money is important. There's no question, but it's only one of the 8 forms of wealth that I talk about in the book. And I believe that success without soulfulness is a very empty victory.
Can't agree more. Like, the only thing I wanted to ask you before we go more into the depth of wealth and how does a wealthy or successful life look like, I wanted to ask you, how do you personally deal with such, you call it energy vampires, or these people who always say I can't or you can't. That's even worse. I mean, if they have their insecurities, if they have their fears, I cannot, I can offer my hands, but I cannot force them to change their mindset. I can only inspire them by the way I'm living. And that's what I'm trying to share on my channels, to just be myself and to share my voice. But when I started teaching yoga, almost everyone laughed at me. Everyone said, I said I wanted to be one of the best yoga teachers in Europe or in the world, and they said, yeah, there's so many yoga teachers and so many girls doing this. And how do you personally deal with such people? I mean, when I started to think more about it and read and all the self-development books, like I'm reading every day for minimum 1 hour.
Excellent.
And this also changed my life, listening to audiobooks while driving, while walking my dog. Not every walk, I have to say, sometimes I just want to be present in nature. But this all changed my life, and what also changed is my surroundings. Not only where I live now also on the countryside with my beautiful girlfriend, my 2 wonderful dogs, but also the circle around me changed a lot. And sometimes it is so hard to find real friends or, be people who just want to be your friend and support you and not just want to benefit from you or like being seen with you or, getting you tips for their own business. So there are many questions packed in one, but how do you deal with negativity and how do you meet inspiring people?
Well, it's such an important point, Marcel, and I think one of the most important things any one of your viewers, listeners could possibly do is do an inventory. And in the 5M Club, there's that model, joy is a GPS. So here's what you do. You do, in your journal, you have a column. Who are the people that increase my joy? Trust joy is a GPS. Just follow that GPS. Who are the people you say, here's I want to be a yoga teacher, and they say, yes, you can do it. They increase your joy. Who are the people you have a conversation with them and you walk away leaving feeling bigger than when they found you? Who are the people that when you're with them you're just laughing or you feel really good about your life? Who are the people that when you're having a meal with them they just make you happy? Write those people in the list. Keep those people. If it's your girlfriend, for example, keep those people close because great relationships don't grow on trees. And a beautiful life, a rich life, is very much about an orbit of really deep, great relationships. In the second column, joy is a GPS, then you want to list all the people. And one of the greatest traps we fall into is the trap of self-deception. We lie to ourselves. We say, oh no, this person's going to improve. They're negative right now. I feel bad. Maybe it's a relationship partner. Well, a red flag is a red flag. And very rarely do people become the person you want them to be. So start making a list of the people who criticize you, or they're just toxic, or they're negative, or they see the world as a bad place, and they're masters of can't versus merchants of can. and do yourself a favor and let those people go. And your life will transform because we become our conversations. And the people around our lives show us what's possible. Now, people often say to me, well, I can't say goodbye to those energy vampires. I'm married to one. I can't say goodbye. That's my brother, my sister. Love them from afar. Rather than texting them 4 times a day, text them once every 2 weeks. Rather than having dinner every Sunday night, see them once a month. But your joy, your energy, your happiness is really important. And we're better family people, and we change the world when we're feeling good about ourselves. And then how do I find people who inspire me? I hold my heart in my hand. Just the other day, there was someone really interesting who entered my life, and I said, if you want a new friend, here's my phone number, and I'm willing to go for a walk with you. I mean, you put yourself out there. You know, if there's someone you want to be a friend with, let's say there's someone who you admire, a business titan, a professional athlete. It's never been so easy to reach them. And you just be polite. And, you know, sometimes I have people, they try to connect with me and they say, you know, I need you to do this for me. Could you help? No, you start with bringing value to someone else. I just had a conversation with one of the most successful financiers in the world. I reached out to him. He replied. We had a wonderful conversation. And then after that, I said, I'm going to send you 5 of the books I'm reading right now. I followed through on my promise, which is so, people don't do it. Followed through on the promise, wrote a handwritten note, sent the books. He replied, the relationship begins.
Holding the promises not only to others, but also to yourself, right? If you say you get up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever time, I think this is always the first disappointment if I set an alarm and then I decide to snooze. This was such a big problem for me, like getting out of bed, and when I started to getting up earlier, but then I realized I'm always disappointed by myself, and if I can't even get up at the time that I set the alarm, how can I reach my goals and my dreams? I think this is so important with also the little things. But thank you so much for also sharing all the insights on friendship. And what I also realized is that it's so much more about quality than quantity. When you're young, around your 20s, you want to have many friends. Now I'm just super grateful that I have a handful of really close friends that I can trust, that I can share my thoughts, my honest, authentic, real thoughts. I mean, also share them with the audience, but it's just different to have a conversation, a meaningful conversation. And I prefer having a conversation, meeting someone who's living far away, going to a city, having nice dinner, going for a walk, and then say goodbye, taking that positive energy, the new ideas, the inspiration with me, but also spending a lot of time with myself, because there are some things you can't do with others, like reading. I don't need someone who's sitting next to me or holding my hand while I'm reading, or working out. I like to, like you said, working out for myself. I don't really need someone who pushes me, because I want to push myself. But on the same way, I know how important it is to have mentors. And you mentioned it, for example, in The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO, how important it is to find mentors, to find teachers, coaches. What role does mentors play in your life? How did you meet your mentors? And why do you think it is so important?
Well, mentors show you what's possible. And it's amazing. It sounds so simple, but one conversation could introduce you to an idea that you never thought was possible that changes the remainder of your life. I come from very humble beginnings. I sure didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth, Marcel. I didn't really fit in school. I marched to a different drummer. I liked being by myself, being caught up in my thoughts. And I had some great mentors. One was a neighbor on the street I lived on. Everyone else was working 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, and I'd walk by his house, and I'd see him sunbathing in his backyard, reading whatever the magazine was at 3 in the afternoon. And so we got to be friends, and we used to take these long walks along the ocean. And he shared so much about life and true success. And one of the things he shared with me, I've never forgotten, but he said, Robin, run your own race. Run your own race. And I think that's so important in this world where we're suffering from the cult of comparison, and we look at other people's lives and then we feel bad and we feel sad because we think we don't have enough. Well, run your own race, and trust your own instincts and follow your own values and define success on your own terms. And even if you're the only person on the planet living the way you're living, if it feels good to you, well, you've got more wealth than all the billionaires in the world. I had another mentor when I was a young lawyer. He was a Harvard LLM, like a master's in law, and he was a very highly respected judge. And he showed me the importance of going granular when you do your work. Go granular versus superficial. He was one of the most humble people I've ever met. I think often if we're insecure and we haven't healed it or worked through it, then we overcompensate. And we pound our chests and we show our selfies and we sing from the mountaintop about all we have and all we are. But the great sages and the great leaders, they walk very quietly.
The humble ones, right?
The humble ones, I think about Mahatma Gandhi. He died with under 10 possessions. He wasn't showing selfies of him in the beautiful restaurants. And I say that kind of with humor. Mm-hmm. But he died with under 10 possessions. Mother Teresa, I stood in her bedroom in, what do they call it now, Kolkata. I went to her mission. And there was just a Spartan bed and an austere room. So he was very humble, and I learned a lot from that. Another mentor has been my dad. Probably one of the most humble people I know. And he said to me when I was growing up, Robin, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. He said, son, live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. And then I've had business mentors and then dead mentors. You could read the books of Nelson Mandela, Aristotle Onassis, Hedy Lamarr, Jean-Michel Basquiat. And through their books, you feel their vibration. Through their books, you get their energy. Through their books, you learn their habits. Those are your mentors. All the people who follow you from around the world, they're having a conversation with you. Mm-hmm. Your insights, your words, your experiences are shaping them consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah, nowadays it's so much easier, right, to find a mentor. Sometimes we have that idea that it must be someone who's living close by. I can ask questions, like knock on the door or talk on the phone, but also like reading books, listening to podcasts. There's so many great podcasts out there, listening to audiobooks. It has never been so easy, I think, to learn, to grow, to change your life, no matter what age you are. This is also something I always want to say and to really mark these words that, of course, I was young when I changed my life. I had the support of my parents. I lived still at my parents' place when I taught my first yoga classes in my room where I grew up. But every day is a new possibility, a new chance to change something. And it's building the right habits, building the right routines, meeting the right people. And also, for me personally, what really changed my life is not only about all the things I do, but even more important about the things I don't do. I stopped doing. I could The first thing when you entered, I could say, oh, what do you think about the weather? Yeah, it's raining. And if we talk about it, the sun won't come out. And if it comes, it's great. But just trying to be present, appreciating what we have, having a positive mindset. And this is something I'm struggling the most, like finding friends to have deep conversations. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, to have conversations with people like you.
I'll be your friend, Marcel. Don't feel so alone. I'm here for you.
Thanks. I think there is a huge difference between feeling alone and being lonely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not lonely. I have friends. I have really close friends. For me, it's sometimes just shocking how many people are complaining about everything. And I think life can be so beautiful. There's so many ways to create the life you truly want to desire. So what do you think is a happy life? Or what do you personally think is the definition of success?
Well, before I answer that, I'd just love to say on your point about being alone. French mathematician Blaise Pascal said most of a person's miseries are derived by their inability to sit alone in a room by themselves. So, the most important relationship in the world is the relationship with your highest self. I believe we have two selves. We have a heroic self, that's the brave self, the wise self, the intuitive self, the honest self, the loving self, the creative self. And then we have a egoic self. Heroic self, that's our highest self. And then our heroic self, and that's the part of us that we have become to fit into the world. It's the part of us that we've become through the trials and pain and micro trauma and macro trauma that contracts us and separates us from our heroic self. And so I think the real job of a human life is not fame and fortune and all those things society sells us. I think the real goal and purpose of human life is to close the integrity gap between our worldly self, our egoic self that we've become, as we've forgotten who we are, and remember who we are at our core. So what I'm really trying to say is the most important relationship to answer your question, what's success? It's knowing who you truly are. Being intimate with your true self, your heroic self. Being intimate with your wisdom. Being intimate with how strong we are. You know, when do we know how strong we are? When we think we're knocked on our knees and life is hard. That's when we realize how strong we are. Rumi said, keep breaking your heart over and over until it opens. Our heroic self is wise. Look at the world we're in right now. Our heroic self is loving. It doesn't look at people by the color of their skin, their gender, where they live. You know, it's just love. So that primary relationship is so important because when we heal, what I call in my methodology, I talked about it in the Everyday Hero Manifesto and the 5 AM Club. Everyone talks about mindset. I believe there are 4 interior empires to work on to build your strongest self. Mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. We can talk about those if you want. But when you work on those 4, you start to remember your heroic self. You do it while the rest of the world is asleep. You're doing the methodology and the tools to work on your mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. And every day through micro wins, you're remembering more of who you truly are. And that primary relationship affects everything. You're better with your intimate partner because you're more loving, you're more understanding, you're less needy, you're more giving, you're more brave. You're better with your team because the job of a leader is to grow more leaders. So you actually are a servant leader. You're better with your customers. People who say, oh, why would working on yourself help with your customers? Well, when you want to do when you want to push products that make the world better, that solve your customers' problems, when you really care, When you're dealing with a customer and they sense, you know, he or she is sincere and they want to help and they're reliable and they're trustworthy because you've done that deep inner work to serve and to help and be honest, you have so many customers. When you have worked on yourself with that primary relationship, you're good with strangers because you're generous. And you remember, every human being deserves respect and love. So success to me is about those things. Success to me is about remembering who you truly are. Success to me is about enjoying the journey, but being of service.
So to remember who you are, you meditate, you write in your journal, you reflect, you do the nature walks to have time to connect with nature, see the beauty around you, being aware, being present in the moment, right? That are the ways to, if someone is listening to this podcast and thinks, yeah, I have no idea who I am. And I felt it a couple of years ago. I was just living my life. You do the work because you have to pay the bills. You are in the group of friends because you grew up with them. You have the same mindset as your friends, your parents, the teachers you had. And then suddenly you start reading books and listening to podcasts and they say, yeah, you need to know who you are. How can they start?
It's a great question because we hear that. You need to know who you are, and we're always left thinking like, where do I go from here? So let's perhaps be super tactical to answer your question, and just imagine. If we were working one-on-one or something, I'd have a model and I'd write on it. But let's imagine it. So imagine a circle, and imagine there's mindset, the first interior empire, which is your psychology. Everyone says, so many people say mindset is everything, but that's just your psychology. But it's important because your daily beliefs determine your deepest performance, your results. So what are some tactics to build your mindset? MVP, meditation, visualization, and prayer. Reading will build your mindset. Podcasts like yours will build your mindset. Going to conferences will build your mindset. Then we get to the second interior empire, heart set. That is your emotionality after your psychology. Your emotional life is incredibly important. How do you build your heart set? Journaling is very powerful. Mantras are very powerful. Working with an emotional healer or a therapist is very powerful. Going for long walks in the woods alone, very powerful. Body work, Reiki, acupuncture, hypnosis, we could go on. Now you get to the third interior empire, which is health set. Incredibly important for energy, for good health, for longevity. I like fasting, the 2 massage protocol, the morning workout, and all the 20-20-20 formula I talked about in the 5 a.m. club, naps, rest, great diet, etc. That brings us to the fourth interior empire. You want more tactics? That's soul set. Prayer is so wonderful. Serving those in need anonymously is powerful. Writing letters to yourself is great. And the 3 S's of silence, solitude, and stillness. So hopefully those are just some of the tactics for the four interior empires to build your strongest self, step by step each day.
Love it. So the book 5 a.m. Club took you 4 years to finish because you wanted to make it as perfect as possible, and congratulations on that. I think it's really a masterpiece.
Thank you.
I read it 3 or 4 times already. Your new title, The Wealth Money Can't Buy, will be available on the 9th of April. I know that date because it will be the same month when my very first book will be available too. And this is why it's such a special month for me. How long did it take you? You said 1 year to write The Wealth Money Can't Buy. So you're really hyper-focused in your work. But how was the writing process for you?
What's the name of your book? Or have you announced it yet?
It's the 6 a.m. Club.
That's the sequel. I was just about to write that book.
No, joking.
I'll do the 6:30.
No, I tried to wake up at 5 a.m. and I just felt that for me personally, 6 a.m. works better.
Yeah.
That's why I was joking that I said it's just like 6 a.m. club. The name of the book is Good Vibes Yoga.
Wow.
So Good Vibes Podcast, Good Vibes Yoga. I want to help people to build yoga routines and also bring more awareness into their lives. And I think without awareness, without the ability to be present and to like coming back to the moment, I'm catching myself now that I think, to be completely honest with you guys, I forgot to press record on the mics, but our videographer saved me with double recording. And yesterday I said to him, don't worry, we only need this mic. It will be completely fine, 100%. He said, now we have to double check it. And then in my mind, it's like, hopefully the sound is good. What should I ask next? But then I always try to come back to the present moment and to realize, hey, you're having an interview, you're sitting in Vienna, you have such an interesting conversation, you're meeting one of your biggest mentors. Just enjoy the moment, because it will be over soon. The interview will end. I have to go back to Tyrol. You go your way. And without awareness, without the ability to enjoy the present moment, life will be over so fast. But if you always manage to press pause for a second and to just appreciate and to just really feel, then your life will be so much richer. And this is what I'm writing about in the book. But let's not talk about my book, let's talk about yours, The Wealth Money Can't Buy. What is the wealth money can't buy? Well,
part of it is what you spoke about and what you're writing about. And when you talk about yoga, it made me think, Marcel,
that you should start.
That I need to write a book on yoga. No, I'm just joking. It made me think, like Mother Teresa, I mentioned her, and she said if we would only sweep our own doorstep, the whole world would be clean. And it just made me think, if the whole world would do yoga, and find peace in ourselves. And you talked about being present. I mean, the greatest gift we can give someone else in this world of endless addiction to technology is being present. And the greatest gift we can give ourselves, as you were suggesting, is to be present to the moments of our life. And they don't have to be rich moments. They don't have to be expensive moments. The other night I took my little dog, she's about 5 pounds, her name is Holly, and I let her out before we went to sleep. Me and my partner, I don't sleep with the dog. And just wanted to make that clear. So I let her out, and it was just, it's autumn where I live, and I saw the stars, and I think it's true. Like, if the stars only came out once every 1,000 years, we'd all hold hands and be staring at it. But because they're out there every night, we take them for granted. So being present is powerful. I can't wait to read your book.
It will be in German, though.
It'll be in German? I'll learn German.
Also
no problem.
German.
I can learn German. That's
you speak a little bit German?
No, not really. But so the wealth money can't buy took me, yes, a year, because I hear about people writing books really quickly, and I don't know how to do that. And I probably have already rewritten that book 15 plus times. And the way it works for me is, like, I had a major writing in Milan in March, and then I had a major rewrite in April, and then I went to Bratislava, and here in Vienna then I went to South Africa in July and locked myself in a cottage on a vineyard, did a complete rewrite. Then I went to Bratislava and Vienna in September, complete rewrite. And every time I think it's done, I read it 2 months, a month later, and I go, I need to polish it. So I just try to give my heart and soul to my books, because I think people can feel high quality. And if you put your heart into it, then when they read it, everyone can feel how much you put into it. And it's a book about real wealth. Like I said at the outset, the world has sold us on this idea. Oh, look at this person. We have a new podcast guest here, and a real titan because she's a billionaire. Well, what about the gardener? What about the school teacher? What about the pizza maker? What about all the people who are living rich lives who aren't rich and famous? So it's really about the 8 forms of wealth. And then the tools that I've been developing in my methodology over the past almost 30 years, working with many of the best. And it's a manual to live your richest life in a world where a lot of people are missing what's most important because they're chasing the wrong things.
I can't wait to read it. And this is also a question I'm always asking myself. Is more always better, or is less sometimes so much more? And I mean, you know it by yourself with social media, with the channels, with books, you have the publisher who's behind that, who's pushing, and like brands are pushing, or maybe you want to reach your goals and you constantly think, I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to get better. But at the same time, I think it is so important to enjoy the process and to enjoy every single day. And like I said, to pause, to appreciate what you have. And I don't want to tell the story because I already have in the podcast, and I'm sure you know the story about the fisherman who is changing, or maybe it's even in one of your books, I'm not sure. But this story completely changed my life. That's a rich life doesn't always need the latest car or the most money. Like, it needs rich moments. And I think you also said it in one of your books, that a rich life costs so much less than you think. Is it right, the quote?
Yeah, and I think you're talking about the fishermen, and then they start the factory and they sell the factory, and,
exactly.
and then why do you want all this money so I can spend the day fishing, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of funny, and a rich life is very inexpensive. I mean, the things that bring me the greatest joy cost the least money.
What are they?
Times with my family where I'm cooking bad pasta. And we're just sitting. My pasta is actually pretty good. I do a nice peachy pomodoro, and I'm with my partner Al, and my kids might be visiting because my son is 29, my daughter is 27. Or, I mentioned a little routine I have, but before I start working, I take Holly and I call her super chum because she's always with me, and she's my super chum. But before I start working, I just take her onto the olive grove and we do a 15-minute walk. But we're present, and sometimes she always gets sidetracked until I go, ball, and then she comes ripping up the trail. But those are great moments. Or my best friend Luigi lives in Rome. So like a 3-hour meal with him talking about art and life, or going into an art gallery alone and just staring at a Basquiat or staring at some amazing art. If I have some time, I'm going to go to is it Albertini? But I was here in September and I went to this museum here in Vienna, and it was really quite beautiful. And nature, books, not super expensive things. But those are really important things, and I've learned this lesson to be a perfect moment creator from a titan who wrote a book called Chasing Daylight. He was the head of KPMG Global, and he was given 90 days left to live. And he realized with only 90 days left to live, connecting to his mortality, that he'd never taken his wife to lunch. He'd miss all the Christmas concerts of his daughter, never gone on long walks with his friends. And so he spent the last 90 days trying to create perfect moments. And so you're so right, Marcel. It's, we can be on the hamster wheel, And I believe in ambition, and I believe in achievement. And anyone who says they don't want to make progress, I mean, we are hardwired. It's a survival instinct. If we don't find better tools and progress, we die. And yet, so many of us are so busy climbing the mountain, we're missing out on the climb, the perfect moments, the relationships, the books, the great meals. And you're right, it's like everything in life, it's a balance.
You can find happiness in little things, right? And yeah, totally agree. And that's something I realized that. And what I appreciate so much about you is that you don't, I mean, you're still in this personal growth and self-development scene and sharing your routines and to improve. And like you say, we're either dying or growing or dying, but still you say you're not a huge fan of the hustle culture. And if you open Instagram now, it's like this, yeah, challenge this, challenge that, work all day, go to the gym every day. I mean, like, muscles need to rest, and it's the same with us. And being focused on work, hiding the phone, like when I was writing my book, I'll put my phone on airplane mode and I was hiding it. So I'm not even thinking about to touch it. And it's always surprising how much work you can get done if you're really focused. Also something which improves with reading, with meditating, you can improve your concentration. So I think this is really important to mention, that you can work hard, you can work on yourself, you can have discipline with your routines, but also be disciplined in taking time off, in creating moments, in spending time with your family, like you say, because one day we will all be gone, right?
Yeah, there's a model I have called the twin cycles of elite performance. You've got the high excellence cycle and you've got the deep recovery cycle. And if you actually want to sustain, and science confirms this, if you want to sustain your energy and sustain creativity and sustain top performance and have a very long career, because the secret to legendary is longevity, well, then the key is to institutionalize recovery. You mentioned muscles. The great athletes are brilliant resters. Mike Tyson, when he was at the top, he said, I only did 3 things. I'd train, I'd eat, and I'd sleep. So I don't subscribe to the hustle and grind culture because I actually don't even think it works. Because if you're working 14 hours a day, you're going to deplete your well of inspiration, energy, willpower, creativity, productivity. No one does their greatest work while they're exhausted. So the real key is to, when you work, and there's a model in the 5am Club, the 5 great hour rule. Work for 5 intense, monomaniacally focused hours, and then go do yoga, go mountain biking, go have some pasta. Once a week, take a digital sabbatical. No phone, no work. And then, final thing I'd say on that, you talk about leaving your phone away. I have a technique called the 2 telephone technique. Have one phone fully loaded, has all your apps, all your social, all your videos, everything. And then go get a Spartan phone with nothing on it, maybe just SMS. That's the phone you have with you when you're working. So if you need to do a search for a word or whatever it is, you can do it. But there's no attraction to check a social feed, for example, because you don't have any apps on it. The 2 telephone technique. It's very, very powerful.
Awesome, I love it. So, time is running and we have the final 3 questions at the end. And you already mentioned that you are listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. Are you also reading it?
Yes, be useful. Well, I have the hard copy in my suitcase, so after I listen to the audiobook, I will go through the hardcover.
He's also such an inspiring person. Also on my list, I would love to interview, to talk to him. I watched his documentary on Netflix and really inspired me. And he's Austrian, that makes it special for me. The question I wanted to ask you is, what are you currently reading, and what insights or ideas are you getting from it?
I am, well, from Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm getting insights like, when no one believes in you, you must believe in you until everyone believes in you. I mean, he was an Austrian bodybuilder from Thal. I don't know if I pronounce it, or Tal. I don't know how you say it, but
sounds great.
Okay. So, and then he saw Reg Park transition from bodybuilding to the movies, and he went, see, that's a mentor, right? A bodybuilder can do it. It's like, I call it the 4-minute mile mindset. No one thought you could run a 4-minute mile until Bannister did it, and then weeks later everyone did it. That's the power of a mentor. And then from the book I learned Ronald Reagan went from being an actor to governor of California. Again, it's possible, and he did it. I also learned, what did he say this morning when I was in the gym? He said, all roads lead to the gym. And what he was saying was he would train twice a day, 5 hours a day. And the way his architecture of working hard in the gym and pushing and not giving up, and he applied it in business and politics, etc. Another book I am reading is Anthem by Ayn Rand, which is a really interesting book. And what I'm learning from that is just, thinking for yourself in a world where so many people aren't thinking for themselves. Like, what a glorious concept to actually, someone's opinion is just their opinion, but so many people, when they hear something, they take it as gospel. Think for yourself. Someone says this book is terrible, go read it, find out if it's, I'm reading, another book I'm reading is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, the music producer. And I'm learning a lot about that, like what is a masterwork, how do you get really creative, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a good book. And then I usually travel with the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. I've been reading it for 30 years, and I just find so much wisdom about it. One of the insights, because you asked for the insights, one is, it's something to the effect of all these kings and queens lived their lives all for 1 year on a calendar named after them, but we don't even know their names anymore. So we spend our lives chasing fortune and fame and applause. We want to be liked by the world, and yet no one remembers most of the great people. So why should we spend our life worrying about fame? I think spend your life doing beautiful work and building great relationships and enjoying the process and developing yourself. I think that's victory.
Thanks for sharing all these great books. If someone is listening right now and is having a hard time, what tip do you have for them, and how do you overcome challenges?
When I've been through many hard times. In one of my hardest times, a mentor said to me, "This too shall pass." And that's so simple, but it really made me feel so much better to know that every winter eventually becomes a summer. Second thing I would say is difficulties come to you not for your failure, but for your fortune. So in really painful times, we see how strong we are. We go deep. We read the profound classics to find solutions. Spend a lot of time alone. And it cracks our ego open so we get to know our true selves. So I'll give some counterintuitive advice. If you really want to be a spiritualist and someone who use pain to build more intimacy with your true power. Use suffering to open you, to heal you. Because when stuff comes up when you're in pain, like sadness, anger, that was old pain. It was there. So you work with it. The pain is helping you. that tragedy is bringing up stuff that was there. And if you know how to heal it through prayer, meditation, etc., some of the techniques we've talked about, you can release that latent, suppressed emotional baggage that you were carrying and transform your life. And the final thing I would say is, to judge something as bad is just ego. I mean, who's to say going through a divorce or a tragedy is worse than the times on the mountaintop? It's just a human life. It's just a human life. And, you know, I think a great life is you just go through everything and you just experience it.
Wonderful. And the last question for today. A year from now, let's say we both meet in Rome. It's your favorite city, right?
It is.
And we meet, and the first thing you're gonna say is, "Hey Marcel, this was the best year of my life." What does it need? What must happen to call it the best year of your life?
Well, one of my big projects right now is this new book, The Wealth Money Can't Buy. And I really think it's a book for the times. And I've worked so hard on it to try to make it of use and of value to lots of people. So I'd love to, I mean, I could talk about family, but I'd love to see you in a year and say the book is out there and it's really reminded people what's most important and served many people to live their richest lives.
Where can people find you online?
They can find me on Instagram at Robin Sharma. That's ROBINSHARMA. They can find me on YouTube, Robin Sharma. I've got lots of videos, great value. And they can find me at robinsharma.com.
Thank you so much, Robin, for your time, for your work, for just being here, sharing your thoughts. If you're still listening, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I truly and highly recommend you to read all of his books, not only the 5 a.m. Club, but just start with The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari and then go all the way through to the Everyday Hero Manifesto. And I promise you, it will change your life like it changed mine. If you got any value of this conversation, it's not sponsored, it is just a project from my heart, and I drove here to Vienna with a team, with the videographer, with the assistant to make this possible. So please just subscribe to the channel and share this episode with your friends on social media so more people can change their lives and being more present, starting with a morning routine, getting the massages and thinking about wealth and success in such a different way. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to talk to you and maybe even see you on YouTube next week. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
That was really fun.
Thanks, Roman.
That was really fun. You're one of the most sincere, present, caring podcasters I've ever met. Like, you're doing it for all the right reasons, and it was really a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.